Whoa, sorry about that, folks. I apologize. All that talking and nobody heard me. That's kind of embarrassing. So my name is Michael Booten. I am a city councilor and a school board director. And this is the Barre Beat, the first time that the Barre Beat has actually streamed live from Aired Out and from Barre Beat. This is going to be a normal thing going forward as I'm part of the Fly on the Wall productions. Hopefully next time I will not be stupid and forget to unmute my mic. So I do apologize for those that were watching and wondering what was going on. So tonight, Raylene is not with me just yet. She will be shortly. She unfortunately had to give someone a ride, and she will be back, and we will be going over the presidential debate. Some additional information about me is I was the chair of the Barre City Republicans about 6-8 years ago. So this is kind of my party, and so wanted to go through the presidential debate and just get my opinion. Not that you really want that, but you're here to watch it, so we'll see. One of the first questions that they ask, they ask about the rich men north of Richmond, and it's a song that I guess has become viral. I didn't know about it until I watched the debate, and it was played on there. I'll just give some lyrics of it, which is: living in the new world with an old soul, these rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just want to have total control, want to know what you think, want to know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it tax to no end, 'cause the rich men of north of Richmond. I wish politicians would look out for miners and not just miners on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 3'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men and putting themselves 6 feet in the ground because all the damn country does is keep kicking them down. Interesting song. Not going to make a comment about the fat shaming, because I'm kind of a fat gentleman. But anyway, so we'll play that clip, and Raylene just popped in, so but we'll play this clip right now.
So, Governor DeSantis, why is this song striking such a nerve in this country right now? What do you think it means?
Our country is in decline. This decline is not inevitable. It's a choice. We need to send Joe Biden back to his basement and reverse American decline. And it starts with understanding we must reverse Bidenomics so that middle-class families have a chance to succeed again. We cannot succeed as a country if you are working hard and you can't afford groceries, a car, or a new home, while Hunter Biden can make hundreds of thousands of dollars on lousy paintings. That is wrong. We also cannot succeed when the Congress spends trillions and trillions of dollars. Those rich men north of Richmond have put us in this situation. And finally, we need to lower your gas prices. We're going to open up all energy production. We will be energy dominant again in this country. I showed it could be done in the state of Florida. I pledge to you as your president, we will get the job done, and I will not let you down.
So that was Rick DeSantis. Raylene, are you familiar with Mr. Rick DeSantis?
I am.
You are?
Yes, I am.
Move over.
Oh, yes, I forget. I moved my chair.
You moved your chair. So yeah,
when we were just talking.
The Florida governor of Florida, Mr. Rick DeSantis. So what do you think of that song, just out of curiosity?
Actually, so you had sent it to me separate from the debate, and my son, who is a local farmer, sent it to me a couple of weeks ago. And it's like it's an anthem for many. I strongly believe. It's I hope it gets as bit of, if not more, attention. I don't know either, because this camera right here should be mine. This little guy. So I don't know what has happened then. Now you're making me flustered, and I've lost my train of thought
really
because you're messing with things. But yeah, anyways, it rings true for a lot of people, including me. Including me.
I would agree. I can't deny that as well.
I mean, we're definitely in a time where everyone struggles, and I think people struggle even greater than some, if not most, acknowledge. It's hard for us to say, hey, I'm not making ends meet. It's hard for people to say that. Yeah. And I think that they're trying. And unfortunately, I think, once again, it's going to play a huge role in mental health and addiction.
Yeah.
Because people are just so overwhelmed with everything.
Yep. I know that. I do want to note that, I don't know if you noticed it, but the guy that was singing it, Mr. Oliver Anthony, I think his name is, he was wearing a Goochland. He had Goochland on his shirt. Does that ring a bell for you anyway?
No, it does not.
Goochland is a town in or a city or whatever in Virginia, which I think is where he's from in that area. Well, he's from Farmville, not the Farmville that was on Facebook years ago. But it's actually another town right down in that area between somewhere around Goochland and somewhere between Ruckersville and Goochland, because I've been to Goochland drive-in theater, which is pretty cool. But I noticed that on his shirt, so not that it matters. I just figured I'd throw that out there. Aren't you excited about my
Super
awesome knowledge?
super excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say this: DeSantis delivers some seriously solid statements on there.
Yes, he did. I agree. I will say it was like a roller coaster, though. That entire the entire debate is especially the first 15, 20 minutes was a little bit more like, whose line is it anyways?
Yeah, I would agree, especially when you get Vivek in there.
That guy's certifiable. Like, no. He's pretty proud of himself.
He is. He is
sure.
pretty proud of himself. Let's listen to what his take is on that song, because
you're basically a blank slate for people. You're 38 years old. You've said that you only voted in 2 presidential elections before this moment, this political race.
So first, let me just address a question that is on everybody's mind at home tonight. Who the heck is this skinny guy with a funny last name, and what the heck is he doing in the middle of this debate stage? I'll tell you, I'm not a politician, Brett. You're right about that. I'm an entrepreneur. My parents came to this country with no money 40 years ago. I have gone on to found multi-billion-dollar companies. I did it while marrying my wife, Apoorva, raising our 2 sons, following our faith in God. That is the American dream. And I am genuinely worried that that American dream will not exist for our 2 sons and their generation unless we do something about it. And I do think Brett is going to take an outsider, because for a long time we have professional politicians in the Republican Party who have been running from something. Now is our moment to start running to something, to our vision of what it means to be an American today. If you have a broken car, you don't turn over the keys to the people who broke it again. You hand it over to a new generation to actually fix the problem. That's why I'm in this race, and we're just getting warmed up.
Well, that was one of the more
Tame
reasonable answers that he gave, because the majority of stuff, the majority of what I heard from him was not really answering questions.
No, they were,
really.
it
was
lines,
right? Showboating, and
And he
whose line
really
is it
good
anyway?
at the showboating.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
I'm
does.
not gonna lie, he's smooth. He's
Yeah, we don't need another smooth.
talk.
Yeah,
Smooth
no, that isn't what we need.
Smooth operator.
No, we need somebody to go in there,
You don't think
kick
that's-
some serious ass, and turn this stuff around. That's what we need.
I would agree with that, and a bunch of people were like, "Oh no, please don't." How many people do you got watching live on yours? 2?
At the moment, yes.
Yep, that's kind of.
It's going up and down and up and down.
It's going up and down.
Yeah, it depends.
Makes my heart hurt. But
Well, we didn't promote it,
we
and
didn't. That's true.
hopefully people watch it later.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, so
Right,
yes.
right. Trump somewhere in the title, and you'll be all
Yeah,
set.
that is true. I should have done that. I didn't even think about that. I mean, we
I'm just telling you.
could have done that and would have gotten lots of comments, I'm sure.
Right.
We're not going to be talking that much about Trump. I mean, obviously, we're going to have to touch on Trump because, as they stated in there, it's the elephant that's not in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So, which we'll get to that comment too, because there's something to be said about that. But yeah, he was pretty smooth. He was a smooth talker, and then they went on to Mike Pence, which
God,
oh, you don't like Mike Pence?
I just think no, I don't.
You don't like Mike
No.
Pence? I like Mike Pence. I'm not gonna lie, I like him.
He would need a kick-ass support person.
Yeah, he's your standard old GOP,
Right.
extremely evangelical side of the wing of the Republican Party, which I'm kind of there with him. So, in fact, multiple things that he says, I completely agree with on him. But
I just think that he needs to make sure that he has somebody extremely supportive with him as vice, because I
Him and
don't think
Vivek?
he's the strongest candidate.
meaning him and Vivek.
No. That guy can just go back to being an entrepreneur. Hey, if you're good at something, don't give it up.
Thanks for letting me respond to a reference to
So
our
this is him
nation's
talking about
rhetoric.
the spending
I'm
in
incredibly
the Trump
proud of the record of the
administration.
Trump-Pence administration. I mean, in 4 short years, we rebuilt our military. We revived our economy. We unleashed American energy. And we appointed 3 conservatives to the Supreme Court that gave the American people a new beginning for the right to life. Now, Martha, you asked earlier who's the best prepared for this job. And I must say, with all due respect to all of my friends on the stage, and even to one that's probably looking on, I think unquestionably I am the best prepared, the most tested, the most qualified and proven conservative in this race. I was a leader in the Congress of the United States. I led Indiana where we balanced budgets and had a AAA bond rating when I was governor. And as Vice President of the United States, we spent funding to backfill on the military cuts of the Obama administration, and then we were there in the worst pandemic in 100 years. All that being said, I was the first person in this race to say that we've got to deal with the long-term national debt issues. You got people on this stage that won't even talk about issues like Social Security and Medicare. I mean, Vivek, you recently said a president can't do everything. Well, I got news for you, Vivek. I've been in the hallway. I've been in the West Wing. The President of the United States has to confront every crisis facing America. I will put our nation back on the path of growth and prosperity and restore fiscal responsibility, just as I did in Congress and as governor and when I was vice president.
It's pretty bad when the dogs even bark.
They think that that's the doorbell.
Oh, no.
That's why I couldn't watch the debate in peace in bed the other night, because
You do realize that that's going to come up. Quite
I
a few
do.
times.
And so you have to realize that they're
gonna
probably
have
going to
to-
do that again.
Oh.
So you'll have to ditch mine in your mic when the bell comes on,
I'll
and
have
then
to
turn us
remember
back on.
that.
Yeah. Sorry,
so,
guys. One of the downsides to working from home.
Yes, I will say that him talking about the national debt is, Republicans, they talk about the national debt and everything else, but let's be honest, we do nothing about it.
No.
And we just keep on spending like drunken sailors. Anybody that's watching, drop a like or a comment, please, to get the Facebook gods interested in sharing this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Please.
Just make life a little bit easier. Thank you. Appreciate it.
That would be great.
Yes. So yeah, and like you said, there was a little bit of a spat back and forth between Mr. Vivek and Mike Pence that I found quite interesting and funny.
It was funny.
It
was
There
kinda
was
funny.
quite. I'm not gonna lie. Like there was multiple times where Vivek had spoken, and I'm like, "That's kind of funny. That's kind of funny." I mean, you're completely wrong, but kind of funny. So this is one of those moments where he goes back and forth with Pence.
Yeah, this isn't that complicated, guys. Unlock American energy, drill, frack, burn coal, embrace
Poor
nuclear.
DeSantis is in the middle of the two.
By no longer paying them more to stay at home. Reform the U.S. Fed, stabilize the U.S. dollar, and go to war. The only war that I will declare as U.S. president will be the war on the federal administrative
He's not wrong.
state that is the source
No,
of those
he's not.
toxic regulations acting like a wet blanket on the economy. So I'm not sure I exactly understood Mike Pence's comment, but I'll let you all parse that out. For me, it's pretty simple. That's something a U.S. president can do with focus, and I'll deliver on it.
Well, let me explain it to you. If I can. I'll go slower this time.
I sometimes struggle with the reading
Look,
comprehension.
I was a House conservative leader before it was cool. I actually pushed a deficit reduction act. That was the last time we actually reduced the national debt in the United States, when I was the leader of House conservatives.
He's
I
schooling
balanced
the younger
budgets
kid.
and cut taxes when I was governor. I mean, look, Joe Biden has weakened this country at home and abroad. Now is not the time for on-the-job training. We don't need to bring in a rookie. We don't need to bring in people without experience. We need to bring
It's 30 seconds when you have a rebuttal, okay? And you are up, Governor DeSantis.
So here's the thing. Why are we in this mess? Part of it, and a major reason, is because how this federal government handled COVID-19 by locking down this economy.
Yeah.
It was a mistake. It should have never happened. And
This is the
we
stuff
let
that
the
makes
country out of lockdown. We kept
DeSantis
our state free and
stand
open.
above the crowd.
And I can tell you this, as your president, I will never let the deep state bureaucrats lock you down. You don't take somebody like Fauci and coddle him. You bring Fauci in, you sit him down, and you say, Anthony, you are fired.
Which it's interesting, when he. Oh, I'll get back to that. Remind me of the fired thing.
I just want to respond to Mike for 1 second because he invoked me back. Listen, now that everybody's gotten their memorized, prepared slogans out of the way, we can actually have a real discussion.
See?
The reality of the fact of the matter is...
Was that one of yours?
Not really, Mike, actually. We're just going to have some fun tonight. And the reality is, you have a bunch of people, professional politicians, super PAC puppets, following slogans handed over to them by their 400-page super PACs last week. The real choice we face in this primary is this. Do you want a super PAC puppet, or do you want a patriot who speaks the truth? Do you want incremental reform, which is what you're hearing about, or do you want revolution?
Okay.
And I stand on the side of the American revolution.
We're going to take control back here.
We need everyone to have a moment on the economy.
Yeah. So let me.
Fired.
Yes. Fired.
Michael, you're fired.
You're fired. So I feel like that was so DeSantis, I don't know if he intentionally did it, and if he didn't, amazing. But who is the de facto leader of the Republican Party right now? The unfortunate de facto leader. I shouldn't have said it, unfortunate. Who's like leading all the polls?
Well, Trump.
Trump is, right. So I listened to that comment, and he's like, fired. And I think back of The Apprentice, right? Because that's Trump's show where he would say, you're fired. And he didn't do that to Mr. Fauci, who, mind you, I won't go into comments about his dismal work that he did with AIDS, and I'm just not even going to go down that route. Even though I just said it, but this is where I can get into trouble. No, okay. Anyway, so that was a really good comment on his behalf, at least the way that I looked at it. Mm-hmm. And then Vivek, your canned lines and Pence, just quick back, was that yours? Mm-hmm. And you know what? It probably was.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, when you're doing these debates, you prep everything. Like how you're going to get your jabs in and everything else, And
those in the past that have not prepped, it shows.
It does. It does. Although there are some people that I don't think you can prep them.
Right.
And they do a pretty good job.
Right. They just wing it and say what's on their mind, and all hell breaks loose. And
yeah, like Trump. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's entertaining, but Vivek is definitely entertaining. But the
see,
comments,
and that's, I don't know. That's where it's tough. It's tough for me because it's not supposed to be entertaining. Like, there's nothing about this that should be entertaining. This is serious shit, and we're in a world of shit. So stop.
Are we though? I mean,
Michael,
we're kind of. I mean,
if you don't think that we're in a world of shit, you're
no.
super
no,
like
I'm just
sheltered.
Are we at the point? Are we at the point in our society where we're just like, whatever? Let's just do it. Have we gotten to that point where, we're all wearing Crocs and we're drinking Big Gulp, and it's idiocracy, and we're about to elect Commando Cumucho or whatever his name was. You're not familiar with that reference, are you?
No.
So
what I am familiar with is that I'm scared shitless for my niece and my nephew in what is to come for them. That when I go to the grocery store, I have to be as careful as I am, literally go by every penny. That some months I choose between food and my medication. So that means eating English muffins for supper or having medicine. That's gross. How our veterans are treated is gross. They're not well taken care of at all in the United States. And the cost of fuel, China, the American dollar, where we're at with oil in Russia, and we're a joke at this point.
And
we're
I
no
get
longer
that.
top dog.
I completely get that. The problem that I'm faced with is like, there's not really a serious candidate. Well, that's not true. I mean, I think Ron DeSantis is a serious candidate. I think that he is a good one. I also think Nikki Haley is pretty good. And as we go through this, we'll probably find out.
Way big trouble when it comes to that.
Nikki Haley?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I can't. I'll get myself in really big trouble.
I'm going to try to provoke you to get into trouble. I just want you to know that I love you, but that's what I'm going to do.
I know, but you probably won't, because
but it's Nikki Haley.
I'm just super old-fashioned, that's all.
Super old-fashioned?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking about old-fashioned, we're going to... So I feel terrible saying this, but there was two other... So the big candidates, right? You've got DeSantis, who's leading in the polls, and I think it was Vivek and I can't remember, Pastrami.
Pastrami? Oh, my God.
Vivek Pastrami. Oh, my goodness. I just pulled a Trump. But I don't know what... I can't remember what his last name is. I can't pronounce it. But... which means I'm a terrible person. But then there's... after him, I think it's Mike Pence, and then Nikki Haley. Then there's Tim Scott and the guy from Bergman, something like that. Mm-hmm. And then Asa. So Doug Bergman and Asa Hutchinson. Both of those candidates, they're like the consolation prize. Like, oh, you made it this far. But I don't feel like they have really much of a chance of winning. But hey, I might be wrong, and we'll play that clip now.
Burgum, and then from Governor Hutchinson on the economy, sir.
Well, great, thank you, Martha. And of course, I'm from a town of 300 people. It's a big deal to make it on this stage with all these folks. But when they were all wishing me well, and I think I took them a little too literally when they said, go to Milwaukee and break a leg. So, but I do want to say on this, we're missing something. We can't just talk about the Biden economy, because the economy, energy, and national security are all tied together. Of course, we're paying too much for our energy in our state in our country right now. But part of the reason why is because of the Biden policies on energy. We've got a plan right now, the $1.2 trillion of Green New Deal spending buried in the Inflation Creation Act is something that is just subsidizing China. If we're going to stop buying oil from the Middle East and start buying batteries from China, we're just trading OPEC for Sinopec. And then belatedly, the Biden administration says, no, we're going to put sanctions on Russian oil. Well, we put sanctions on Russian oil, well, then it's 20% off. Who's buying it? China. So if you buy a battery in this country, you buy a solar panel, it's being produced in a plant in China powered by coal, or it's being powered by oil and gas at 20% off, and every farmer in this country
Yeah, I know, he's not
diesel
wrong.
at 20% off, just like they're buying it in China. Can I answer some quickly?
Thank you, Grant. Delighted to be here tonight. And let me just tell you that I'm a pro-life governor from a conservative state that have a conservative record in which I lowered taxes in Arkansas as governor. I created a $2 billion surplus that I passed over to my successor, and I made sure
do want to
that we
note
shrunk
his
the size
pin.
of government. We have
He's got a pin
14%
that's
fewer
an Israel
state
flag and an
employees
American
in
flag.
Arkansas after I left government than when I took over as governor 8 years ago. I tell that because that's what we need in Washington, D.C. We need somebody who can actually constrain the growth of the federal government, that can actually reduce the size, and I've pledged to reduce by 10% our federal non-defense workforce. That's a specific pledge to make that attacks the administrative state. And let me applaud some of the business partners that are here that have had success in business. But let me tell you, I've been a federal prosecutor. I've served our country in terms of being head of the DEA, in Homeland Security, in times of crisis. And while I think that that's experience that is important for the future of our country, to be the President of the United States that can lead with positive solutions and be held accountable.
Ooh. Uh-oh. Oh, the dog is upset.
Did your
Ding, ding.
battery
It
just
started.
die?
No, it almost ding-dinged.
Oh,
And then your dog would have kind of freaked out.
right, would have freaked.
That wouldn't have been good.
Well,
So that
think
was
it's
Asa Hutchinson. We're not going to listen to too much of them. Back to Vivek when he made his comment about the skinny guy there.
Mm-hmm.
So Chris Christie caught up on that. He definitely took note and made his comment about Vivek as well. And it was kind of a nifty, funny little spit spat the two had back and forth.
well, let's hear it.
A show of hands. Do you believe in human behavior is causing climate change? Raise your hand if you do.
Look, we're not school children. Let's have the debate. I mean, I'm happy to take it to start. Alexander, so do you want to raise your hand?
Okay, wait. I got to stop. We got to stop right there. I can't even go any further than that because I gotta make a comment about that. So this is very interesting. As you guys saw, like nobody raised their hand. And who comes out in front of it is Rick DeSantis, right? And he's like, why are you even asked this question? Because it's not the question. Do Republicans feel that our environment, what we do as humans impact the environment? And I don't know any Republican that actually says, no, we have nothing to do with that. The thing is that Republicans generally believe that, it's a much larger thing. The fact is that, when we talk about the heat increasing, it's not nearly as hot as what it's been in the past, right? The climate is always changing. Do we think that we're having a significant impact on it? That's where you will get people to say, no, probably not. There might be a degree of, of change that we're doing. But at the end of the day, that's not what I know from my perspective. Conservatives that I know of the issue at hand isn't necessarily, it's stewardship of our earth, right? We should treat the earth with respect, and we should make sure that it's clean, but the climate movement it's just really crazy. I mean, innovation is how we're going to fix our climate change issues that we're affecting, because there's going to be things that we're not going to be able to affect. And I think that's the reason why there was significant hesitancy for anybody to raise their hand on this, in my opinion. I mean,
You're probably right. I mean, yeah, you're probably right.
yeah. Sorry. I just had to point that out there.
I don't think that's the way to do. So let me just say to Alexander this. First of all, one of the reasons our country's decline is because of the way the corporate media treats Republicans versus Democrats. Biden was on the beach while those people were suffering. He was asked about it. He said, no comment. Are you kidding me? As somebody that's handled disasters in Florida, you got to be activated. You've got to be there. You've got to be present. You've got to be helping people who are doing this. And here's the deal.
Let's just answer the question.
So is that a yes? Or is that a yes? Is that a hand raise?
You do not.
I think it was a hand raise for him, and it's my hands are in my pockets.
No,
because
no,
the
I
climate
didn't
change agenda is
raise a hand.
hoax. Let us be honest as Republicans. I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax, and we have to declare independence for it. And the reality is, the anti-carbon agenda is the wet blanket on our economy. And so the reality is, more people are dying of bad climate change policies than they are of actual climate change.
Governor Haley.
And he's not wrong.
Hold on. Listen. Wait, hold on.
I love this.
I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here. And the last person in one of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, what's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here, was Barack Obama. And
Yep.
I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing on stage tonight.
Give me a hug just like you did to Obama.
The same type of amateur.
And you'll help elect me just like you did to Obama, too. Give me that
The
bear
same
hug, brother.
type of amateur.
Hold on. Governor Haley, would you like to respond? Are you
So,
bought
Brett,
and paid
what I would
for?
like to say is the fact that I think this is exactly why Margaret Thatcher said, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. First of all, we do care about clean air, clean water. We want to see that taken care of. But there's a right way to do it. And the right way to do it is, first of all, yes, is climate change real? Yes, it is. But if you want to go and really change the environment, then we need to start telling China and India that they have to lower their emissions. That's what our problem is. And these green subsidies that Biden has put in, all he's done is help China, because he doesn't understand all these electric vehicles that he's done, what that does. Half of the batteries for electric vehicles are made in China. And so that's not helping the environment. You're putting money in China's pocket, and Biden did that. So first of all, I think we need to acknowledge the truth, which is these subsidies are not working. We also need to take on the international world and say, okay, India and China, you've got to stop polluting, and that's when we'll start to deal with
Senator
climate.
Scott, are you bought and paid for?
Absolutely.
Are you bought and paid for?
Sorry.
Are you bought and paid
Absolutely not. I mean, here's what the American people deserve is a debate about the issues that affect their lives. Going back and forth being childish is not helpful to the American people to decide the next leader of our country. Number one, wait a second. And number two, as a kid who grew up in a single-parent household mired in poverty, I wondered, was the American dream real for kids who were devastated by poverty, devastated by the challenges of life? I came to the conclusion that America can do for anyone what she's done for me if we focus on restoring hope, creating opportunities, and protecting America. If we want the environment to be better, and we all do, the best thing to do is to bring our jobs home from China. If we create 10 million new jobs in my Made in America plan, we will have a better economy and a better environment. Let me tell you why I say that, Brett. America,
Do it quickly.
America has I'm a Southern boy, I talk slow. So America,
Another one.
That was quick. America has cut our carbon footprint in half in the last 25 years. The places where they are continuing to increase, Africa, 950 million people. India, over 1 billion. China, over 1 billion. Why would we put ourselves at a disadvantage, devastating our own economy? Let's bring our jobs home.
We have a lot.
So I'll say, Tim Scott. Man, I really like him. He doesn't have a shot, but man, he's 100% correct. I have to say that. I did love the little spit spat back and forth between Vivek and Chris Christie. There's so much I could joke around about Chris Christie just because everybody does, but I'm not going to. I'll leave that low-hanging fruit. But his immediate comment about the Chat GPT. I mean, he's not wrong. and then his comment about, it's Barack Obama, and Vivek is like, you're the one. And that's 100% true. I mean, I remember when, he was playing all, touchy-feely with Barack Obama, and, not a fan of Mr. Oh, I'm sorry. That's okay.
Well, not really.
It wasn't that much. I just had to play that little sound bit because it's funny. But yeah, I mean the comment that he kept on bringing up was the thing that Barack Obama constantly said, and I got a couple clips of it here. Let's see.
The hope of a skinny kid with a funny name who believes that America has a place for him too. I was a skinny guy with a funny name. No, you can't elect a skinny guy with a funny name to the presidency of the United States. A skinny kid with a funny name named Barack Obama can grow up to be president of the United States. In 2008, you gave me a chance. A skinny guy with a funny name.
And I get a little triggered anytime I think of his presidency. I'm not gonna lie. It was like it does remind me of the worship of Trump. Although I don't remember any children literally singing praises to Trump like I remember hearing, which I don't know if you remember that. Do you remember that? Literally, no kidding whatsoever. There was a class, there was a school down in New Jersey that they were singing, changing the lyrics to "Mine eyes have seen the coming of the dawning of the dawning of the coming of the Lord," and they changed it to "We honor you, Mr. President. We honor you." Something like that, Mr. Obama. It was pretty creepy. There was some really creepy stuff that I remember, and I went. You have a hard time finding it. It's really hard to find now. It's almost
Maybe
like the.
That's just truly how they felt.
Yeah. Do you remember this song? Ready? Oh, wait, you gotta.
We're gonna spread happiness. We're gonna spread freedom. Obama's gonna change it. Obama's gonna lead.
You don't remember that? Yeah,
We're
I
gonna
remember it.
change it and rearrange it.
It's creepy.
We're
Never heard that?
gonna change the world.
Yeah, and they go, and this was
Maybe
a.
it's 'cause I don't watch TV.
Now's the moment where he was to say,
It was creepy. And that's the reason why when we start talking about Vivek, trying to channel Obama, that does get a little creepy in my opinion. I think I'd rather take a pass on that.
I think that all kinds of kids are
off limits to that stuff.
Yeah,
should be.
To many things, and are being indoctrinated into all kinds of things in life now that they shouldn't be. So
I will say I'm thankful that I don't hear any praise music to Joe Biden. And I haven't heard any praise music to Trump either. But if I did, I can guarantee you that I would be absolutely opposed to it. It's just creepy. It's just really creepy. Speaking about children, they did touch on abortion, which for those that don't know, I'm like super pro-life. And
I'm not.
Right. And that's okay. We can disagree on that because
We've had some really good conversations about it, actually.
Yeah.
So,
and the Barre Beat did do a pro-life, pro-abortion show, and we had the person that was part of the pro-life movement in Vermont and the pro-abortion movement. And the thing that folks need to understand is that on one side, you've got people that look at this and it's and this is going to upset people, but to them, it's the murder of children. And on the other side, it is enslavement of someone's body and destroying
saving children.
And saving children from a bad situation.
Right, a life of hell.
Yeah.
Living with
And there's two very different sides to that coin, and neither one of them should be discounted. Because I mean, as a pro-life person, I would say that one outweighs the other, meaning the life outweighs. But people, there's different beliefs on that, and unfortunately, it's turned into you have to hate people that disagree with you, which is our standard protocol in our society in general.
Except for me.
Yeah.
Like, I am most willing to, if you're willing to engage and have a conversation with me and keep things civil, we're good. I have all kinds of people that I disagree with that I love with all my heart. We're just not on the same page with things.
Yeah.
So
they did bring it up.
So we just have to respect each other instead. Imagine that.
It's pretty difficult for most people.
Yeah.
So Nikki Haley gets the question first.
Thank you, Martha. I am unapologetically pro-life, not because the Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband was adopted and I had trouble having both of my children, so I'm surrounded by blessings. Having said that, we need to stop demonizing this issue. This is talking about the fact that unelected justices didn't need to decide something this personal, because it's personal for every woman and man. Now it's been put in the hands of the people. That's great. When it comes to a federal ban, let's be honest with the American people and say it will take 60 Senate votes. It will take a majority of the House. So in order to do that, let's find consensus. Can't we all agree that we should ban late-term abortions? Can't we all agree that we should encourage adoptions? Can't we all agree that doctors and nurses who don't believe in abortion shouldn't have to perform them? Can't we all agree that contraception should be available? And can't we all agree that we are not going to put a woman in jail or give her the death penalty if she gets an abortion? Let's treat this like a respectful issue that it is, and humanize the situation and stop demonizing the situation.
Yeah. I mean, she makes a very valid point for the path forward for the pro-life movement. I'm not, again, where I stand is more like where Pence stands. But I would take that view if I could, because that gets us, gets the people that are, people that do feel that way. There's common ground.
Which is mostly men, just saying, that can't have babies. You can just make them, and that's lots of fun. Yeah. And then we can leave it at that.
Again, the two of us disagree on this topic.
Very much.
And that's okay.
I know. Let's make a baby. I'll stay with you for 5 years and then start fucking around, and then you can just deal with it all for the rest of your life by yourself.
First of all,
a lot of people.
First of all,
I'm just telling you.
It's
just one of the instances that some people need to think of sometimes is that, men make these decisions.
I'll just make this comment that no man should walk away. And I'll just say this. People should just wait until they get married and takes care of majority of the problems.
That doesn't take care of shit.
All right. Moving on to Pence's beliefs on this.
You're hysterical. You're hysterical. This is coming from a guy that is not married, has never had children, but he knows everything. You want to know why? Because he has a penis.
Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And see, I set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life.
We should not be talking about this. So this is Pence's take, and this is probably where I stand on this.
And as vice president. To be honest with you, Nikki, you're my friend, but consensus is the opposite of leadership. When the Supreme Court returned this question to the American people, they didn't just send it to the states only. It's not a states only issue, it's a moral issue. And I promise you, as President of the United States, the American people will have a champion for life in the Oval Office. Can't we have a minimum standard in every state in the nation that says when a baby is capable of feeling pain, an abortion cannot be allowed? A 15-week ban is an idea whose time has come. It's supported by 70% of the American people, but it's going to take unapologetic leadership that stands on principle and expresses compassion for women in crisis pregnancies. I'll do that as President of the United States.
And I'm good with that. No late term, unless there's risk of death.
Yeah, and I know that any of the bans and stuff that I've heard of, they've all had the exceptions for that.
Yeah.
So the next part of what they talk about is Trump, right? Mm-hmm. And how he wasn't there. Mm-hmm. Because he's obviously too good. Whatever. And when I say too good, I'm being very facetious. He should have been there. Mm-hmm. What really frustrates me is there's been, some comments about, his people weren't allowed in the spin room, right? Mm-hmm. And what the spin room is where people do the interviews afterwards and try to spin all the stuff, and that's why it's called the spin room. And the Trump folks weren't allowed there. And I've got a shot here,
really,
or a video clip, I do, of Donald Trump's son.
What was the Trump team's response to how the candidates?
You know what? I don't even know. You gotta check with the Trump team. I was on the stage and then I came here, so I speak, off the cuff from the heart, and that's what I do.
So you're being kicked out? Why? Because
Fox News won't let me back there. I was told some people were gonna let me speak, but apparently.
I can't stand that. I can't listen to it. I'm sorry. Pompous. With all due respect, if your dad doesn't show up to the debate, you can't spin. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you don't show up, you don't get to talk. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion on that. I'll leave my other comments about Kimberly Foyle, who was in that picture. She looks considerably different. Mm-hmm. But so anyway, the candidates then are asked the question, would they support a Trump candidacy if he does win? Mm-hmm. And I really hope he doesn't. But that's neither here nor there. It's interesting to see how the hands go up, because it's kind of funny to watch.
But we are going to take a brief moment and talk about the elephant not in the room.
Former President Trump has been indicted in 4 different states on 91 counts. He will be processed tomorrow in Georgia at the Fulton County Jail for charges relating to the 2020 election loss.
You all signed a pledge to support the eventual Republican nominee. If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand if you would.
Vivek goes up. And then slowly the others. I noticed that Asa does not raise his hand, and Chris Christie's like,
So just to be clear, Governor Christie, you were kind of late to the game there, but you raised your hand?
No, I'm doing this. Look, I'm doing this.
And
not
I know
this.
you didn't.
Whoa. No.
What's
And
the
look, here's the bottom line. Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct.
yeah.
Okay? Now, whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong, the conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States. And you know, this is the great thing about this country. Booing is allowed, but it doesn't change the truth. It doesn't change the truth.
Yeah. So we're gonna run out of time here. We're pushing an hour already. I think you're getting a little tired.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done.
Pretty done.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've had a long.
I get
rough
it.
day.
I get it. So we're actually gonna stop here.
But we can pick a night to finish.
Yeah,
I mean,
we can certainly.
we can do whatever we want to do.
This is true.
So.
I'll make the comment that it goes on. Nikki Haley schools Vivek over the Ukraine issue. He clearly doesn't have any foreign policy experience, and it based on some of the things he was saying, his lack of geopolitical knowledge, right? You can't just let go in the society that the world that we're in at this moment in time. The reason why we have such peace that has happened since the world wars, and I know that there's been small conflicts, but those conflicts have really been much smaller than the big wars, right? And the reason why is because of the strength of the United States. We kind of are the police of the world. Backing away from that position has a significant impact on the world in a negative way, in my opinion. But yeah, we can certainly take it up some other time.
Yes, we can. We're gonna wrap it up.
Yep. And you go night night.
Well, yeah, I'm at least going to get comfortable, and yeah.
Well, sorry, folks,
from talking about politics.
De-stress from the
talking about politics.
We get the little.
Truthfully.
Well, I'm sorry.
Well, because I spend most of the time biting my tongue. That's why it stresses me right the hell out.
I bite my tongue too. Yeah, I'm not going to deny that. I bite my tongue. I do. There's a lot of things that I want to say.
Lord only knows.
I know.
Listen, the last time that I spoke my mind, we had people that were.
No, I get it. I get it.
I get it. Man.
I get it. I hope you don't get. I hope nobody yells at your sponsors for the things that we said tonight. No. But yeah, so it is.
I just try to be respectful.
Yeah, and that's all you can
every
ask.
Once in a while, I have little slips.
Well, we'll pick up the second part of the debate some other time, or not.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We will.
Okay. All right.
We'll do the rest. You know where we left off, and we'll pick it up.
Very true.
For now, we're gonna go to
PP
bed,
night
'cause
night?
It's, yeah, because it's
PP
Monday
night
night at 10 o'clock, and I'm sure my
Yeah.
dad would love that too.
That's probably true. All right. Well, in that case, just want to say thank you to all those that did watch. We're Monday nights, normally 8 p.m. Barry Beat podcast, and now we're going to
Tonight,
start.
Michael wanted to do 2 shows in a row.
Yep, which I probably won't do again based on the reaction I'm getting from Raylene right now.
No, I said it was okay. I didn't flat out tell him no.
She's having
next time
second
we
thoughts.
need to warn people, and I need to have not had such a shitty day.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
'Cause
So,
normally I'm fine.
with that, I want to say thank you to all that watched the Barry Beat podcast live from Raylene's basement.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in
To the basement.
To the basement.
The
The Fly in the Wall production studios, Barry, Vermont.
The den where the
The
bitchy
den.
bear lives.
The bitchy.